Now that Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl champ and Patrick is just a 3-time champ, not a 4-time champ, let's name the best quarterback at every Super Bowl ring total all the way from 0 to 7. Quick memo, I'm not counting the pre-1966 NFL championships, that could be for another video. I don't want to mesh them together because technically they're different achievements. You need to win more playoff games to get a Super Bowl ring compared to a league championship, and for long stretches of NFL history, the league only had 10 to 12 teams and there were no playoffs, just a championship game. They're just not the same award. Without further ado, let's begin. The best retired quarterback to never win a Super Bowl ring has a number of solid picks. Some great choices include Warren Moon, Jim Kelly, and Steve McNair, just to name a few. If we include active players, this can be a little bit of a harder choice, but I don't think it's fair to rule them out just yet. So for this, I'm sticking with retired players, and I'm gonna choose Dan Marino. Dan made it all the way to the Super Bowl in 1985, but lost against Joe Montana and his 49ers. Dan is still a legendary Hall of Fame player as he is a 9-time Pro Bowl player, 3-time All-Pro, and his 1984 season was one for the ages, as he won AP MVP, NEA MVP, PFWA MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and the Burt Bell Award all in that season. For the one-time champ, while it would be nice to choose Jalen Hurts, I don't want to be stuck in the moment and have recency bias. This is truly an all-time debate between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. The Aaron Rodgers versus Brett Favre debate could definitely use its own entire video. There's just so much to break down, but I will give you the bite-sized summary version of said debate. Rodgers is just the more efficient player. For players who played more than 100 games, Rodgers is the all-time quarterback rating leader in NFL history with a rating of 104.5. Aaron Rodgers won his ring against the Steelers in 2010. The best quarterback with 2 rings is a close call between Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, and John Elway. The Manning brother debate is an interesting comparison as they are both 2-time Super Bowl champions, but the choice is Manning. I know some people are not going to understand my pick to have Manning over Manning. They might consider Manning the better player compared to Manning, but I'll tell you why I'm going with Manning over Manning. Which Manning? Well, Peyton Manning, as he's a 14-time Pro Bowl player, 7-time All-Pro, plus a 5-time AP MVP, 2-time NEA MVP, 4-time PFWA MVP, and a Super Bowl MVP, just to name a few of his many achievements. He won his rings in the year 2007 and 2016, beating the Bears in 2007 and the Panthers in 2016. Only 2 starting quarterbacks in NFL history have 3 Super Bowl rings, Troy Aikman and Patrick Mahomes. And while it's easy to hate on Patrick Mahomes because the Chiefs are the NFL's #1 target, Patrick is still a generational talent and my choice for the best quarterback with 3 rings. Troy is a legendary quarterback, do not get me wrong, but Patrick is a generational talent. Earl Morrall also has 3 Super Bowl rings, but he was a second-string quarterback for most of his trips. He reached 4 Super Bowls but only started just 1. Only 2 quarterbacks have 4 Super Bowl rings, and these 2 are Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana. Both are legendary QBs, you can't go wrong here, but my pick is Joe Montana. If you look beyond the jewelry, Joe Montana is the far more complete player. Joe has a higher completion percentage of 63% compared to Terry's 52%. Joe has more touchdowns and far less interceptions, with his 139 interceptions compared to Terry's 210. Keep in mind, Joe played roughly 22 more games with nearly half the amount of thrown interceptions. Joe won his Super Bowl rings in the years 1982, 1985, 1989, and 1990. The best quarterback with 7 Super Bowl rings is the only quarterback with 7 Super Bowl rings, and that's Tom Brady. There's not much that needs to be said here. If we added NFL champions, Bart Starr has 5 NFL champions plus 2 Super Bowl victories, which adds up to 7 total wins, but I would rather talk about NFL championships in a different video since I do consider that a different achievement. Tom Brady himself has more Super Bowl rings than any individual NFL franchise. So here's the best quarterback at every Super Bowl ring total. Let me know what you think of this list and what you want to see next. Don't forget to tackle that like button. I'm Touchdown Rewind, and I'll fast forward to you later.